And now, I said I wouldn't do introductions for the open reading, but I can't help this one. Ed Lull has been a fixture of PSV for not years, but decades. He is a 4-time past president of PSV. He's a past executive director. He was the founder and ran the Saturday Poetry Series for many, many years. And he's an all-around good mariner. Come on up forward, please.
I encourage anybody to pick up on what Kathleen was advertising. The society needs you, and when you get into it, you'll find that you need the society. It's a good experience, and I can say that I have a little experience with it. Who knows what a victory garden is? All right. Victory garden, as experienced by a 12-year-old. The concept that planting a vegetable garden in rural upstate New York could hardly win a war overseas completely escapes me. We weren't eliminating the enemy, nor were we feeding our soldiers. We planted, we weeded, we fertilized, we harvested, and then we ate like real farmers all winter. Perhaps someday I'll understand this war thing. Corn was easy to plant. Excuse me. Corn was easy to plant and tend. I had studied how Indians planted corn in mounds, 5 seed kernels, and 1 dead fish per hill. We planted in rows and left out the fish. When the corn grew, it had strong stalks, green tasseled soldiers, never intimidated by weeds. Corn on the cob was the best, even with oleo. I love carrots, especially raw, crunchy, crisp, and sweet as jujubes. But what a pain to grow. The seeds are as small as pepper flakes, and you plant them in so shallow that you barely cover them. They germinate far too close. They must be thin, terribly tedious. Weeds sprout up to dominate the tender plants, but pulling a weed without uprooting several plants, difficult. But what would a pot roast be without them? My dad showed me how to cut seed potatoes to ensure that each section contained a promising eye. Potato hills were easy to keep tidy with a hoe, and digging them up at the end of the season was you never knew how many you would find in a hill. Beets were like carrots, no fun, too much work. When you pulled them up, they bled on your hands. I didn't even like the taste of beets. A damp spring produced a bountiful crop of peas. I ate them raw out of the pods. We really overkilled on string beans. Mother canned about 50-quart ball jars. I guess I did enjoy the gardening experience, and it must have been successful, winning the war and all. And as it turns out, in the order that Bill Close did, I now have one I won't say honoring the storm, but considering what the news that it is, this is right on an awful storm, Katrina. Her glancing blow that stole the sunshine from the Sunshine State left us with almost casual thoughts. Another nasty storm. But in the days ahead, she would become full grown, salivating over her next victim. She took her time to savor what would come. Dreaming of her name in history books, she attacked the most defenseless prey. Warnings went unheeded. After all, we handled Camille, didn't we? The poor, when told to go, did not know where, or if they did, lacked the means to get there. Lashing winds made buildings dance before collapsing into matchsticks. The gulf engulfed all that dared to dare. Land, life, and livelihood succumbed. Before departing, she fired one more lethal shot to elevate herself from common killer to epic mass murderer. As dikes were breached when she moved north, the water flowed south. The sight of death afloat is etched forever in our minds. We have no power to evacuate images of dismal, decomposing death. 1,833, Katrina's legacy.